What's up? I'm Kelsey Anthony, and welcome to She Does Even Go Here.
I'm a new soul, I came to this strange world, hoping I could learn a bit about how to give and take. I'm a new soul, I came to this strange world, hoping I could learn a bit about how to give and take.
It's exam period, which means stress levels are high. And one thing that's always helpful is some good old-fashioned exam prep advice. Now, there is tons of info out there on study tips and the best methods to retain information. Some of you have already figured out which study methods work best for you. Some of you are probably trying every study tip you've ever learned, trying to find your mojo. And for those anomalies who have never heard a single study tip in your life, I'll leave you with this tidbit of information. Take breaks. Cramming as much info into your head as possible in a short period of time is the worst thing you can do trying to study. Your brain cannot retain all that information and you'll just exhaust yourself. Some good advice is to study in 30-minute time blocks with 5-minute breaks in between. Some researchers believe that you retain the most information in the first 30 minutes and the last 30 minutes of your study session. So, if you're studying for 30 minutes at a time, there's a greater chance you'll retain all of that information. Some other good advice is to try teaching somebody what you're learning. If you can successfully teach somebody something you're studying, that means you know what you're talking about, and there's a much better chance you'll remember that info. Now for the focus of this vlog. This vlog is going to give you advice on what to do the night before and the day of your exam to prepare. Like I said, there's already tons of study tips out there that you've probably heard a million times, but sometimes what to do on the big day is a mystery. Well, call me Scooby-Doo, because I'm about to solve this mystery. It is essential that you get a good night's sleep the night before your exam. Staying up late and trying to cram as much info into your brain as possible is an awful idea. Not only will you probably not retain a lot of that information, but you'll also be exhausted the next day and have a really hard time focusing. Not to mention, if your brain is using all of its energy trying to keep your body awake, it's going to take away from the energy it needs to recall information. So, sleep is essential. Get some sleep. Doing a little studying the night before your exam is not going to hurt you, but you definitely shouldn't be trying to learn a bunch of new things. Review your notes, review what you know, and as long as it's not a cram session, you get to bed at a good time, you'll be fine. The most important thing the day of your exam is to eat. Eat breakfast, eat lunch if you have a later exam. Your brain needs fuel, man. You gotta eat. It's recommended on the day of your exam that you eat foods that are rich in protein. Proteins are brain-boosting food and they create greater mental alertness. This includes foods such as eggs, nuts, yogurt, even whole grain cereal with some milk. Even a little bit of fruit can be good. The sugars might wake you up. But make sure you pair it with a protein so that your body doesn't blast through that sugar as soon as possible. Even if you're in a rush, take 5 minutes to throw some milk and yogurt and fruit into a blender and make a smoothie for the road. You gotta eat. Your brain needs fuel. Avoid eating foods that are rich in white flours, such as cakes and muffins. These types of food require extra energy to digest. Also try staying away from eating a bunch of simple carbs, such as white breads and pasta. Your body will burn through this energy as quickly as possible and can end up leaving you feeling pretty tired. This is pretty much the same thing as studying the night before. It's not going to hurt you, but make sure it's not a cram session. You're not trying to shove a ton of information into your head in a small amount of time. You're probably not going to retain a lot of that information and you're just going to exhaust yourself. So, review what you know, look over your notes, and just take it easy that day. Your brain needs to be well rested for the main event.
Go back. This is the moment. Tonight is the night. We'll fight till it's over. So we put our hands up like the ceiling can't hold us.
Alright, that's pretty much my exam prep advice. But before you go, let's take a quick look at some things you probably shouldn't do the night before your exam. Number 1. As mentioned a million times in this vlog, do not stay up all night studying. And avoid energy drinks. Those things are terrible for you, and not to mention, you'll crash hard. Number 2, do not just give up and accept your fate as failing this exam. Study a little, get a good night's sleep, and have confidence. You likely will not fail out of school because of one test. Number 3, the night before your exam is probably not a good time to throw out all your notes and say, forget it. I'm dropping out and becoming a rock star. Maybe come back to that thought after the exam.
And I would rather do anything other than study, which I've been doing lately. That's good.
Really original stuff here. Finally, I wouldn't consider it wise to have yourself a movie marathon the night before your exam.
Tommy's happy to be with his friend.
Dobby!
Potter.
You're so young. So, there you have it. The do's and don'ts of night before / day of exam prep. Let's review. Number 1, get a good night's sleep. 8 hours is optimal. Number 2, eat. Eat breakfast. And if your exam is later, eat lunch too. Remember, foods that are rich in protein are best. Number 3, don't cram. Seriously. You're probably not going to remember a lot of that information and you're just going to exhaust your brain. Okay. That about wraps up this vlog. I'm Kelsey Anthony. And I do even go here. Yes. It's a good catchphrase. Bye.
Got the rap patrol on the cat patrol. Foes that want to make sure my casket's closed. Rap critics to say he's money cash holes.
Number 2. 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 Number. I'm done.